everyone, today we're going to be testing out a new eyeshadow primer. I'm so excited for this. Now you guys know, unless you're new, I do have my holy grail eyeshadow primer and that is the MAC Paint Pot. So that is what we're going to be comparing this to. So I ended up getting the mini. This was $13 and you get 7 mils, which is actually kind of a lot because I was looking at my paint pot. Now I do have a backup so this one isn't open, but in here you only get 5 grams and this is like $22, $23 I want to say. So for the mini to be 7 mils and only $13, like that's a very good price. So let me open this up and we can see what it looks like. I'm going to be doing like one eye with my MAC Paint Pot and one eye with my Anastasia primer, just so we can kind of see how shadows apply on top of this. So here's what the little tube looks like. It looks really small, but I feel like there's a lot of product in here. So let me open this. I have seen some people say that when you open this, like shit just squirts everywhere. So hopefully that won't happen. Maybe I'll do a close-up so you can see. Oh, I think we are safe. I mean, there's a little bit coming out of the tube, but it's not a big deal at all. So let me see what this feels like on my hand now. Okay, so there's definitely some pigment to it. It feels very sticky. I don't know what I would really compare this to. It's very interesting. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this, but we're gonna go ahead and put this. Oh, I see it is kind of spilling out, so that is not ideal. I guess I'm not the only one who's having that problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on my good eye, which is my right eye, and I'm going to see how much coverage this has, and it actually looks like it's got quite a bit, and it's very, very light. So if that is something that bothers you, you might not like this. I'm probably putting on too much. I'm going to wipe off my brush and just try to diffuse this a little bit. Like, I'm not really sure how much you're supposed to be using of this. I don't know if it's better to be applied with your finger, but I'm going to apply it with a brush because that is how I always apply my eyeshadow primer. So we're just gonna do this and see how it works. I will say it's definitely canceling out any kind of discoloration that I have on my lids, which usually isn't much, but I do like to have something on my lid that has a little bit of pigment to it. And it's also very bright, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't love eyeshadow primers that are super bright because I feel like it always looks a little bit unnatural, just like right underneath my brow here, but we're gonna try it, and I might have to go in with some new colored eyeshadow just to kind of tone that down when I'm done with the look. So let me go ahead and put my paint pot on my left eye now. This is the one that I have in Soft Ochre, which if you are new to my channel, I did a video comparing the two paint pots. I did the Painterly versus Soft Ochre, and I found that Soft Ochre just performed a lot better when using colorful shadows, so that is why I've been using this one. I don't love that it has a yellow undertone, which is why I keep trying new eyeshadow primers, because I want to find something that doesn't kind of mess up some of the shadows that I use. Sometimes if I go in with blues, the blues kind of turn into a little bit of a muddy gray when I put it on top of this primer, and I don't like that about it. So if I can find a primer that doesn't have a yellow undertone that performs as good as my MAC Paint Pot does on me, then I would love that. So for the shadows that I'll be using today, I'm going to use my Menagerie Cosmetics eyeshadow palette. So I have 3 here. I have the Courtship palette, which is a tiny one. I'm probably going to use the shimmer because this is my all-time favorite shimmer. Also have the Dragon Child palette, which is discontinued, but all of these shadows are sold as singles, if I remember correctly. So I will leave the link to the website down below if you want to go check it out. If you want to get any of these palettes. I also have the referral palette, which looks like this. This is the Color Story. So I'm just going to be dipping into this. I'm not going to really, this isn't going to be a tutorial, so I'm just going to do my eye look, and then if I observe anything about the primer, I will let you know. Otherwise, I will just kind of fast forward through me doing the eyeshadow part so that this video doesn't end up being way too long. So just right off the bat, looking at this now, it doesn't look like it's creased on me, which I'm very surprised by because it's kind of liquidy and kind of sticky. So it kind of reminded me a little bit of the P. Louise primer, but just a little bit tackier. So kind of like a mix between the Urban Decay primer potion and the P. Louise primer would be kind of like the consistency, I guess I would compare it to. I don't know, it's weird. It's not like anything else that I've ever put on my eyes, I don't think. And it seems to be very dry now. It's kind of lost its tackiness, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we're about to find out. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip into one of these shadows if I can find a brush to do so with. So I'm first just gonna start by packing some dark green on my outer corner here. So far the primer seems a little bit dry, but that could also be the shadow that's a little bit dry. But let's see what happens when I put this on the other eye as well. Yeah, so already I feel like my MAC Paint Pot is gripping onto the shadow so much easier. than the Anastasia one, and it just looks to be a lot more pigmented. Like, I feel like on this side it's looking a little bit patchy. I'm sure you guys can see that. I feel like it's very obvious. Like, I don't need to build it up at all on the paint pot side, but I did have to build it up on the ABH side. But in the end, it's looking about the same. I don't feel like the shadow is a lot more vibrant. It's a little more vibrant on this side, but just because the eyeshadow primer is white, so I'm not really surprised by that. But I mean, it looks to be sticking to my eye pretty nicely, so that's good. I'm gonna dip into a bit of a lighter green now and just put this through my crease. I mean, I just feel like it goes on so much smoother on the MAC side. And you can see here that it's becoming a little bit patchy where the two colors meet, but even when I went in with my first layer here on the MAC side, it's not doing that. And I just feel like my shadows perform, they just behave better, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't tend to really have a lot of struggles when I use this primer, but as soon as I go in and I start trying other primers, it's almost like I'm not even using the same shadows anymore. Like, it's so strange. I feel like the primer makes such a big difference. And also I can feel like it's a little bit streaky on this side. I don't know how well that shows up on camera, but my shadows just are not sticking to my eye as well. They are looking a little bit more vibrant though, but they are also a lot harder to build up. I'm also just taking a little bit of yellow here right above where I put down the green, just to kind of blend this out a little bit and just add a little accent of yellow. It doesn't have to be a lot, I just want to have a bit of yellow. I mean, it's not showing up super well on my eye on this side. It is showing up, but I'm gonna go in on the other side and see how it is looking. I feel like the shadows are just kind of blending away here. I don't know if it's the primer's fault or what, but I mean, what else can it really be? Because I'm not having that issue on this side. Like, I really feel like my MAC paint pot just like grips onto color, even if it's a very dry formula. And you would think that it wouldn't do that, but it honestly just works so well for me. Okay, so looking up close at these now, I definitely feel like I'm having a hard time having shadows stick on my outer corner right here, whereas on this side it's looking very smooth, it's looking very blended, it's looking a lot more pigmented and opaque. Here it's also looking a bit streaky just in my crease, and keep in mind this is my good eye. I never have problems blending out things on this side. I usually tend to have issues on this side, so I mean, the fact that this is doing this to me, it's not making me very happy, and I don't know if it can be anything else's fault than the primer. So I'm going to go in with a bit more of that dark green now and just try to build this up a bit. And I'm also going to run that other green through my crease. So I feel like it's looking a little bit better, but I hate that I have to do this extra step on this side that I don't have to do on this side for it to look as good as I want it to be. Take a little bit of that green on this side too, but I don't feel like I need it. And it just builds so much easier on this side. So let's go in with the shimmer now. I'm not going to cut my crease or anything because I want to, you know, have this primer down and just see what happens. So I'm just going to pop that on basically the rest of my lid here. So I mean, I feel like it's laying nicely on this side, but I did also spray it because I always spray my shadows, but I'm interested to see if there is going to be a difference on the other side. I feel like eyeshadow primers to me are way more important for the mattes to perform well and not so much to shimmers. Like, it doesn't really matter what shimmer you put on top of any primer because it's probably going to work just as well. Yeah, I'm not really seeing much of a difference in these sides. For some reason, I feel like this eye is kind of burning a little bit, and I don't know why it's doing that. I can't imagine it being the eyeshadow primer. Just to finish up, I'm going to smoke some green underneath my lower lash line. I'm not going to be doing anything fancy here, and obviously the primer doesn't really matter because I don't have any primer on my lower lash line. I'm going to dip into a little bit more of that yellow and just try to really intensify this now. I mean, I don't know guys, I feel like things just stick better on my MAC side. I'm not sure if it's showing up at all, but that is just the experience that I am having looking up close and like actually like analyzing what is happening on my eyes. Obviously at the end it's going to look pretty much the same, but to me, using eyeshadows is a lot more about the process than the end result. Like I really enjoy the act of putting on the eyeshadows and I want that part to be enjoyable. It's not just about what the end result ends up looking like, for me anyway, but I think that, I mean, both sides are looking pretty much the same, so that's always a good thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of my eyes and then I'll be right back and we can conclude this video. Alright, so the look is all done. I did go ahead and put on a little bit of Stila glitter just on the inner part of my lower lash line here, and for lips I used the Sorme Non-Stop Liquid Lipstick. I got this sent through Octoly by Sorme and I've been testing this out, and this has become my all-time favorite liquid lipstick formula. I want to get all of these. I think this formula is so good. It dries down matte, it's so comfortable, it lasts for such a long time, but it doesn't do weird things on your lips, and you can actually reapply this on top of your lipstick after you've eaten and stuff. I don't have to take this completely off and reapply, which I feel like I need to do with most liquid lipsticks, but this formula is so nice. I have mine in the shade Enchanted. I want to get more of these. I'm probably going to order some because this formula is so good. So just to sum up kind of my thoughts on the eyeshadow primer, I think that the end result ended up looking the same, but I was definitely having to build up the shadows more on the ABH side. I didn't feel like they gripped onto the primer as much as they normally do for me. And for those reasons alone, this is not my favorite primer by any means. I mean, like I said, the end result ended up being the same, but for me, if it means that I have to spend an extra 2 minutes on each eye trying to get the results that I want with this is not worth it for me. So I'm glad I only got the mini. I don't think I'll be reaching for this again unless I, for some reason, come across a shadow formula that doesn't work with my MAC paint pot that I need to try something else with. But, I mean, my thoughts are basically that I don't love this, but I feel like some people might. I mean, it's not a bad primer. Like you can see, it's not a bad primer. It's just, it didn't live up to my MAC paint pot, which honestly no primer does. So that's basically just what I'm going to conclude with. Let me know if you've tried this primer. Let me know what your experience was. Do you want to try this? I don't know. Let's talk about it because I want to hear more opinions about this. I haven't watched any reviews at all and I would like to know what other people think about this. So if you try this, let me know how you feel about it. So if you want to see some more reviews of stuff that I have done, I will pop some up on the screen for you so you can go check those out. And if you are new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.